So, on today's episode of Lies the Truth, we're talking about how to love your spouse by listening, not by solving.
Welcome to Lies the Truth. I'm your host, Pastor Mark, and this is our other host.
My name is Kim.
Tonight we're going to talk about something that I believe all couples probably struggle with. I think a good topic to call it would be fixing versus listening. Most couples, when they have some kind of tension, usually isn't because of lack of solution, it's because of lack of understanding. And one of the biggest things that I think we struggle with is understanding when our wives need us to listen. And when we hear something they're dealing with, we think what they're really asking us is to fix something. And they're really just wanting us to hear what they're saying instead of trying to fix what they're talking about. And so that's kind of the focus of today. And so, Kim, I guess I want to start off with kind of asking you that question is when I try to fix instead of listen, what does that feel like to you?
Well, I think you hit it on the head with understanding. I don't feel that there's this allowance to be able to understand all the things that are going on, all of the background. I don't have a lot of words in my life, but when I do share something, I just want to know that I'm being heard. But I think ultimately what it comes down to, though, if I share something and I just feel like there is just an immediate fix solution trying to be shared, it's a lack of trust. It's a
Yeah.
lack of trust that I can handle it or that I'm equipped to be able to come up with a solution. And so I think that's the biggest piece is for me, it's that there's not trust in my abilities to be able to process through something and come up with a solution.
Yeah, I was doing some research on this episode, and one of the things I found is, first of all, the idea that for men, saying, I'll fix it is love, and for women, hearing, I want you to listen is love, is first of all, understanding that that is a generalization, but that's sometimes how we feel. But I read
Mhm.
something that I thought was really difficult to kind of swallow is that when men try to fix it instead of listening, that sometimes a wife can receive it as, okay, you want the fixed version of me that right now I just need you to love the version of me that isn't fixed and to say that I'm okay that I'm dealing with something right now without you trying to fix it. And so I wanted to start this conversation by kind of sharing some things that this is why us men try to fix things. And not all of these are good things, but this is some of the reasoning behind why we do what we do. The first thing is there are very few things in life where we don't like to be in control. And I don't mean to use the word control as a bad word, but
Right.
just the idea of you're bringing something into our home that you're saying, hey, there's some kind of fragility here. And as a man, I'm like, well, I want everything to be in control, so I want to try and fix it. I think another thing that we struggle with as men is maybe that we have some discomfort with emotions. And so you are dealing with something as a wife that's kind of an emotional thing. Hey, I'm going through something. I need to share my
Mhm.
emotions with you. And as a man, instead of talking about emotions, we go straight to, okay, here's plans one, two, and three to fix. And then the other thing is, it's really a desire for us to be useful or helpful. Is we just want to help our wives. And again, for us, fixing something seems like love, and it's kind of hard to understand how not fixing it is love, but we do understand that. I was reading this also that said listening, the reason it's hard is because first of all, it means for us that we've got to slow down. And it's hard for me when you come in and maybe something happened at work or something and you said, hey, this is what I'm dealing with in today, that I just want to go into fixing mode because I really want to move on to something else and leaving something unresolved. I mean, it's going to take some more part of my night that I'm kind of already on to the next thing. And so I know those things aren't all necessarily wonderful, but I think those are true things that we struggle with as men. So I'm wondering, could you give us like an illustration, maybe of some time in our life where, or even at work or something, where you've needed someone to listen, but they went into fix it mode?
Yeah, I think the first example that comes to my mind it is work related. I oversee a team of professionals, and I had spent time investing in one particular employee, and she was going through some tough times, and I felt like I was investing emotionally. I was investing professionally, development wise. There was performance issues, and really tried to help put tools around to try to help bring her along, and just was over and over again, just missing on the performance side of things, but everything was an excuse, and so we had to have some really tough conversations, and ultimately terminate employment. But at the same time, the response from this individual was scathing. Was how I didn't care, how I mistreated, all of these, and things that I took very personally. And I know there's got to be this separation, but just it was very, very difficult, because I care about my staff, I care about my teams, and I was just so hurt. And I remember coming home, and sharing, some of the things that she told me, and I was just devastated. And it went straight into, okay, well, this is what we got to do, and that
Yeah.
I just felt like that response was just very, and you were in complete protection mode, and I recognize that you saw that I was hurt, but it went straight into this protection mode of okay, well now, okay, this is, you respond this way, do this, all of these different pieces, and I just really wanted you to hear me say how hurt I was. I had a plan, and I could handle it, but at the same time, like again, kind of going back to that trust of just needed you to hear how hurt I was in this situation, and not necessarily to fix it, but just to comfort and empathize.
Well, pretty much then the rest of this episode, I'm not going to talk. I'm just going to sit here and listen for the rest of the night because now my feelings are hurt that I was trying to fix instead of just listening. But yes, it is truly a man and woman thing. I believe, and again, that's a generality, but I do think that we go into those modes. Is we think fixing it is love, and to you,
Right.
listening is love, and we've got to do better of really understanding that and knowing that.
Right. And I think you kind of hit on it, before, I was sharing that story of, you know, I'm ready to move on to the next thing. So
Yeah.
here's the fix. Now let's get on to something else. Let's get on to something more enjoyable to talk about.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like in the back of your head, you're wanting to talk about the kidney stones, but you're not allowing yourself to do it. So sooner or later, maybe you'll have to share that story with our listeners about that, but not tonight. So the interesting thing about this conversation that we're having, fixing versus listening, is Sunday night was a pretty big night at our house, and one of the things that I have in our 2026, I know some people do New Year's resolutions, some people don't, is I've started so many books in my life and never finished one ever. And so Sunday night, finally finished the Psalm 40 book that I've been working on for like 16 years and printed it out on paper and handed it to you in a box. And the funny thing about that book is in that book, I actually admit that I do the same thing to God that we're talking about. And so Psalm 40, the whole kind of premise of it is that when you're at the bottom of the pit, you're crying out to God and you're waiting, and God inclines and He listens and He reaches down and He lifts you out. And there's this whole process that God does, and the whole book is about that. But I'm pretty much like, God, can we skip the you inclining? Can we skip the you listening? Can you just pull me out of this pit, clean me out, clean me off, set me down? And can you do all that right now before I get out of my truck? Because I don't really want to deal with the fact that it's going to take time in a season to do that. So I recognize that that's just part of my personality, is that I want to skip all that even with God, and like, hey God, get to the fixing part.
hmm
And so knowing that, and knowing, I know you just read the book this last couple of days, is knowing that, what am I missing, or what are husbands missing that you get out of the inclining and the listening and all of those things that God says, hey Mark, this is an important part of the process, and you're saying the same thing as far as our relationship as well.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to say, so excited about your book. That is a labor of love. I remember even going back to Tupelo, you had written quite a bit of it, and then your computer was stolen. This was before
Oh,
there was
that's
the
right.
cloud,
Yeah.
so it was just gone. And I think that was a major setback. But anyway, I'm digressing. It's knowing that I'm not alone, knowing that it's a safe place.
And before you go to the second part of that, just to be fair, I think men trying to fix things is trying to make a safe place.
Right.
So it really is again, going back to understanding what each other needs is, because I equate safety with letting my wife know I got everything under control.
Right.
So I just wanted to throw that in. Not to say I'm right and you're wrong, but I think we're both wanting the same thing
No,
there.
and I think it's that mismatch of expectations of what you need. A lot of times, it's simply knowing that you're hearing, that you're listening,
Yeah.
and that's a safe place. So, I think the next thing is just validating that I'm not overreacting.
Mm.
That my pain is real. I'm not just being emotional. And it's just that validation. It's not abnormal, I guess.
Yeah, this is what I'm feeling. This is
Yes.
very real. And then us as husbands can give you that. Oh, I hear you,
Mhm.
and yes, you have a right to feel that way.
Mhm.
Instead of you feeling like you having to question that because you're not getting the listening ear.
Right, right. Am I just being emotional? Am I overreacting? All of those pieces. It's that validation that this hurt is real. And I think the third thing is love. So I mean, we talked about safety, we talked about validation, but love. Knowing that you care for me, that you love me in all of my mess, in my emotion, in, my stress, and not just the poster version of me, the picture perfect version of me, or the fixed version of me. Those are kind of three things that I think are key parts, that can be missed, when there is not that inclining and listening.
And I do think, as we're talking about this, that's one of the things really that we want to do with this podcast and really with our life is to not just say, hey, we're vulnerable, we are never on top of anything, but to be very honest that we're walking through life just like everybody else. But I'll have to be really honest, and I'm really saying this to men, is when we put together this outline, I said this at the beginning barely, but I want to say it now, is I think this is the thing that men that I really need to hear. And this is what it says on my notes. Love being, I feel loved for who I am, not just the fixed version of me. And you said that, but I just want to bring that back again. That is one of those things that as a man haunts me. That sometimes our wife thinks that we could love them for the fixed version of themselves when all we're trying to do is fix. Um, but that line in itself is going to put a good check in my heart when I try to go into the fix it mode again.
And I think too, going back to, the safety piece of it is if I don't feel safe sharing my vulnerabilities, my anxiety, my concerns, then the next time I'm probably not going to share next time, or going to be more hesitant to share next time. And then it's just going to just really kind of, it's going to be all internal, and that's going to cause even more stress, more anxiety, and just not having that safe place to be able to share, knowing that I'm not going to get what I'm looking for, which is the emotional support, the concern, the listening. I'm going to withdraw more and more,
Yeah.
and that's not healthy. That's just not a healthy place to be.
All right, wives. So here's the good thing: is Ken's fixing to give me and all husbands all over the world, which we don't have a worldwide audience, all husbands all over our small influence of audience, three simple listening practices that can help me and other husbands who, again, are Mr. Fix-Its instead of Mr. Listens. What are some simple listening practices? And I'm going to listen to you while you tell me them.
Ooh, okay, test here. So I think the first one is to reflect and not redirect. And what I mean by that is asking questions. What I hear you saying is repeat that. Let's make sure that we're talking the same language, and that's a piece that can be provided. That
Yeah.
is that assurance that you heard what I said,
Yeah.
making sure that we're talking about the
Yeah.
same thing.
And
So
probably during that, as men, we need to put our phone down. It need to be eyeball to eyeball because again, we can get into the mode of I'm listening, I'm not looking, but I'm listening, is to truly listen with our whole body.
Absolutely. Our world is full of distractions. We've got TVs and iPads and phones and there's a lot of noise. Finding that quiet place to be able to talk,
Yeah.
and really key in with each other. I think, yeah, I think that's a great point. So you're listening. That's wonderful.
Love it.
And number two is ask before advising. And really what we're saying there is um I can start in on all the things that happened today. And if you were to say, are you looking for an answer or are you wanting me just to understand?
Yeah.
Because sometimes I may just be looking for the quick answer.
Yeah.
And that's not bad.
And
Neither of
those are
these
the best nights. I'm
neither
just kidding.
that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's I, I need help and
Yeah.
I'm looking for you for some help and I'm looking for you for some answers. It's situational too. So if there's a clear understanding, if I go into kind of my day and the things that happened, knowing up front,
Yeah.
are you looking for a fix or are you looking
Easy
for me
question to
to be there?
ask. And
It
then
is a
so it helps so you don't
simple
have to guess.
way.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a simple way to get on the same page with that. And then I love this. Stay uncomfortable. Silence is okay. There doesn't have to be this ongoing dialogue. Silence is so many times just uncomfortable, right? But that's okay. Sit in that for a while. And that's not a bad thing. Stay longer than feels comfortable. Silence is not failure. And so not to be afraid of that. It takes time to process things sometimes. Don't have a lot of words in my life. I just don't. We
Yeah.
kind of joke about that sometimes. That between you and our daughter Shelby, you use up all the words, and
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of words left. But sometimes it just may take me longer to process something. So
Yeah.
I may be telling a story, and I may not be done yet, but there may be a pause, and for you to fill that pause
Yeah.
with something, I may be out of the story now, and I may just, it's too much work to get all of my thoughts out that again, I don't then. And so allowing there to be these pauses, allowing there to be this room to breathe and process during a conversation is a good thing. And don't see that as a failure. As a closing thought, is that, and I love this quote, listening doesn't move the problem forward, but listening moves the relationship deeper. I think just if we kind of sit on that for a minute, it's not all about finding a solution. It's about building this trust relationship, going deeper in our relationship, understanding what we need. And again, sometimes that is the fix,
Yeah.
but sometimes it is just knowing that you're in my corner.
Yeah.
So
And I think that's a great place to land the plane. But you did bring up Shelby, and so I want to use this as one last caveat before we do finish. Is not only is this a husband wife thing, but I'm learning too now that we have adult children living out of the house. Is that Shelby? When she calls me, I know that what she's looking for is just listening.
mhm.
I love you, and she is not wanting me to fix the. And so I this is not just a husband wife thing. I do recognize it with her that usually it's just I just want my dad to know what's going on, and I just want to know that he loves me.
Right. And I would say, I know that this has been very much about husbands listening, but I think this goes the opposite way too. This is just as much for wives to listen
Yeah,
because, I am a fixer, I am a problem solver. And I can catch myself doing some of these things as well. So this is as much for me.
yeah,
I know that we've kind of geared it for husbands
yeah,
listening, but I think that this is in any relationship, this is important information to remember.
yeah. Well, hopefully you listened tonight, and maybe we all learned something together. I've enjoyed talking about it. Until next time, we'll see you. I'm Mark.
And I'm Kim.
Have a good day.